It's a fake, it's not a real papyrus. Hello Internet, welcome to Lex Universe. So you want to know something about Egypt in 2021? Well, I've come to the right place, but before we begin, let me tell you a few things. One, if you haven't seen the previous videos in this series, go watch them. You will see some, let's say, more of a on-the-spot information about Egypt, because whatever I'll tell you will not be as saying as seeing it with your own eyes. And second thing, please let me welcome here all the new subscribers. Thank you very much for subscribing to my channel. It means really a lot to me. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to me. Thank you, and now let's talk about Egypt. Alright, so Egypt is located in North Africa. It has about 100 million inhabitants, and most of them live actually along the valley of the Nile River. I will talk about it a little bit later, but just keep in mind, basically anything that you want to see in Egypt is located along this river or along the coast. Well, we all know it from school. Egypt is one of the oldest cultures in the world and has some of the oldest writings. As you can see, they were using papyrus and they were writing their hieroglyphics on it. Everybody knows that, so I will not really deeply discuss that, because we are talking about Egypt today, not about Egypt 4,000 years ago. First of all, if you haven't seen my previous videos, well, go watch them, but in case you don't want to, let me tell you, I was there in winter, and which brings me to my first point. The climate in Egypt is very hot all year long. In summer it's almost unbearable, but even in winter the temperatures are above 20 degrees, sometimes, and quite usually actually, even over 30 degrees Celsius, so that's something worth considering. If you want to travel to Egypt as a summer holiday, spend it at the beach, it really doesn't matter what time you will come, but summer is probably better. But if you want to get around the country and visit all the landmarks and tourist spots, I would really recommend you to come in winter, because the temperatures, especially in the inner parts of Egypt along the Nile River and in the desert, are well, a lot more bearable. The sea is actually warm all year long on the eastern coast of Egypt. If you want to head out to the Mediterranean Sea, I would not really recommend you to go there during winter, because it's, well, a lot colder. The majority of the almost 1,000 square kilometers of area of Egypt is covered by a desert. The only exception is the Nile River Valley, where it is a lot greener, and you can actually see it as you approach the Nile, that it gets greener and greener. And also there are many oases in the desert. Now, the official language of Egypt is Arabic. They use a very specific accent and a very specific dialect of Arabic, which is almost incomprehensible to the standard spoken Arabic, but they also speak it, so if in case you speak Arabic. Also, as a former British protectorate, English is actually quite widespread, and many people learn also French as a second language at school, so some of these languages are very widespread and very well used. Also, in some the resort towns like Hurghada, Marsalam or Sharm el-Sheikh, they actually try to speak to you a lot of Russian, because there are a lot of Russian tourists and they speak it. And you know, like the Egyptian people that I talk to, they even try to speak Czech to me. Well, they are very friendly, so why not? Some of the more general info, they use the Egyptian pound as the currency, they use the C and F plug outlets. They usually don't flush toilet paper, although in the resorts, especially in like those towns that I already mentioned, Hurghada and along the Red Coast, most of the resorts have like Western-like toilets, but generally if you are somewhere, then they do not flush it, and they drive on the right side of the road. Although, if you intend to drive in Egypt, be prepared that there are a lot of police controls all around the country, that they will stop you and they will check you. You kind of need to accept this, because it's a safety feature that you cannot ignore. Which brings me to safety in Egypt. Well, let's be honest, there have been some terrorist attacks in Egypt in the past 10 years, so I wouldn't go as far as to say Egypt is completely safe, but the safety measures there are actually quite extensive, so Generally, I would say that if you will not act like a complete idiot, then I believe you will be quite safe. Like for example, when you get some pre-organized tour, you will always have one secret policeman assigned to you. He is carrying like this automatic gun under his jacket, and he is there for your protection. Also, when you accommodate in some of these resorts, they are I would not say like behind the wall, but yeah, they are actually walled-in communities, and the local people are not allowed to the resorts unless they work it there. So if you want to go to Egypt, though, the first thing you will have to do is to go to Egypt. Many nations, like I would say the majority of nations, can apply for a visa on arrival, which means that you will just go to Egypt, you will buy your visa on the airport or in some on the border crossing, and well, you're free to go. You go to the immigration, they will stamp your passport and you're free to go. This costs $30. Although, if you come to Egypt in the first half of 2021, you will have the visa for free, or, well, not visa for free, you will have the visa-free access to Egypt. The most convenient way how to get to Egypt is by plane, but there are other options that are not as common, but I will mention them in the first place, so just to get rid of them. First of all, there are overland border crossings with Israel, well, at least one, in the town of Taba, where you can cross. Saying that, this will also be valid for the airport in Sharm el Sheikh. If you want to come only to the Sinai Peninsula, to the east of the country, you will not need visa, but you will need to stay within the Sinai Peninsula, so keep that in mind. And it's generally not possible to get it then later if you intend to go to Cairo or somewhere to the general Egypt. You can also go by bus from Jordan. There are direct buses from Amman to Cairo, but keep in mind that you need to cross Israeli territory, so you will have a stamp in your passport, and it's very possible that that if you want to continue into some other country within the Arab world, like Libya for example, they will not let you with a stamp in your passport. There are also boats. You can have a ferry going across the Red Sea from Jordan, from Saudi Arabia, and also there is a ferry going across the Nasser Lake from the south, from Sudan. Usual way how to get to Egypt is to fly. There are several international airports. I will mention only the main ones, like the Cairo International, Alexandria, and then there are the most famous resort towns, Hurghada, Marsa Alam, and Sharm el Sheikh. If you want to fly from Europe, there are direct flights almost from every country. If you want to fly from the US, there is a direct flight from New York City to Cairo by Egyptair, and also you can get some flight over Europe. If you're watching this from the future right now, you cannot do that because you're not allowed to enter Europe. But if you intend to go to Egypt in early 2021 from the US, another valid option can be to fly by Middle East, which means Dubai or Doha. Now, getting around Egypt is fairly simple. You possibly wouldn't expect this, but they have quite a train network. Well, when I say network, it's basically just one line. I'm sorry, Egyptians, I didn't mean it in any bad way, but basically the main one and the most important train line in Egypt is the line from Alexandria to Aswan, which also goes through Cairo and Luxor. Just like this train line that goes along the Nile River. Really cool. As a foreigner, you will sometimes have a problem to buy a ticket to some economic class, so this is a little bit complicated. It's again for safety features, and also well, you are a foreigner and they expect you have a lot of money, so you need to pay more. But sometimes they will only sell you the tickets to the first class. Also, not all trains are allowed to take the foreigner, but if you just hop in the train, you can buy the ticket from the conductor and you will not have any problem. Also, you can ask some of the Egyptian travel agencies to arrange this for you, so that's kind of cool. But the general form of transportation in Egypt is the network of buses. They go basically to every town or every city in Egypt. This will be your only option if you want to go to some places like the Siwa Oasis or some other places in the desert. Also, there are these minibuses. It's again, like in every video I talk about something like a marshrutka in the Eastern Europe, or I don't know, how do they call it? Well, you have seen it in almost every video I have, so you know how it works. Also, if you are a little bit richer, is that a word? I never know how to use this. Anyway, in that case, you can fly. There are some internal flights from Cairo to basically all the airports within the country. When we talk about transportation within the cities, first let me mention the Cairo Metro. It's the oldest and also one of the most significant metro networks in Africa. You will recognize it because it is always marked with this red letter N, and it's fairly simple to use. The ticket costs from 3 to 7 Egyptian pounds. It really depends on the length of the transportation. Also within the metro, 2 cars in the middle of the train are always reserved for women, so if you are a man, well, you cannot enter there. If you want to travel to Alexandria, there is a tram network which is quite old and quite slow, but you can use it. But in general, there are these minibuses or minivans that transport you around the city. They usually have somehow a predetermined route, but many times it just really works on some hop in hop off situation. You just get into the bus and you will basically tell them where you want to go, and if it's on the road, then they will stop for you or pay some price for it. Also in many towns and cities they have like the official bus network, which, well, can be a little bit less confusing, I guess. You can also travel by taxi. In this case, again, be prepared that you will have to haggle, and be aware of scammers, because it is very likely that some will appear around you, especially if you want to travel from the airport. But luckily for us, Uber and the Arabic Uber called Karim are working in Egypt. Again, I will say this like in every country: if you want to order any of these cars, don't do it near the tourist centers or the main tourist landmarks, and don't do it near the bus stations, train station or airports, because these services are usually quite hated by the regular taxi drivers, and you may end up getting into problems, and I guess nobody wants that, right? Now let's talk shopping. Like I said, the official currency is the Egyptian pound, but you can generally get by dollars and euros. Every time you travel to some of these countries, you always ask yourself one question first, and it's: is it a dollar country or is it a euro country? Well, Egypt is, for example, a dollar country. So if you want to go there, bring some dollars and you can then exchange them for pounds. But also in many tourist environments, you can use them, and they actually like prefer getting paid by dollars or euros. Credit cards are not usually accepted in most establishments, but there are ATMs at every corner, and you can usually withdraw money. In this case, I would recommend you the REVOLUT card. It's this great travels card. It can be MasterCard or Visa, and it has 0 fee for withdrawing money from ATMs and also for paying everywhere abroad, which is amazing. So if you want a good deal, just check the description below. I will leave you the link how you can get the REVOLUT card for free, and well, you can then start using it. It's very simple, and it pays off very quickly. But if you want to pay by cash, just prepare some smaller bills, because like I said, you will usually end up haggling, and at that point it's really good to have like the exact amount of money that you will pay for something. It's really difficult to try to lower the price of something to £3 if the lowest banknote you have is 20. Yeah, so just prepare some smaller banknotes. It will help you a great deal, believe me. When it comes to buying souvenirs, you keep in mind one thing: you will have to haggle, but one thing that will probably help you is the prices differ a lot, dependent on whether you are buying some fake or whether you're buying the real deal. Like an example, this is real papyrus. And when I say real papyrus, I don't mean it in a way that they created it 4,000 years ago and it still is beautiful. It was probably created like this year or last year, but the creation technique of the papyrus is the same that they used in the ancient Egypt. And as you can see, I got this guarantee to it. It was a lot more, oh, not a lot more, but it was more expensive than the one that they will sell you at most tourist places. They're selling this there for even $1 or so, but it's a fake, it's not a real papyrus. So well, if that's something that you consider okay, then well, suit yourself. Then again, there are some of these statues that you can buy. This one is wooden, so it's not a big deal, but they will try to sell you some alabaster statues or sculptures, and again, if they are extremely cheap, then probably it's not alabaster. In better case, it's some plastic that will look like it, but in many cases it is, if it's too light, it's basically just gypsum, and you can like really like crack it open if you really try. So keep it in mind when you're buying something like this. You don't want to bring fake. Now, if you intend to go to the pyramids or even to Luxor, beware of many scammers. This is kind of a widespread problem there, and even the Egyptians kind of hate it. There are a lot of people who will basically charge you for even like looking at them. There are a lot of these camel riders and fake Bedouins or whatever bitchy people these are, and they will try to force you to take a picture of them, and then they will charge you several dollars or euros for that, sometimes even just some insane amounts of money. So keep in mind, don't take pictures of these idiots. Also, there are some people who pretend to be police and they want to see your tickets, like in the pyramid of Giza area, and well, nobody will check your tickets inside of the area. So if someone wants that, just tell them, okay, let's go to the police and let's ask. And at that point, well, they will probably go away because they don't want to be caught. Yeah, so just use common sense and it will be okay, I guess. If you want tips for some things that you can visit in Egypt, go watch my previous videos in this series. I managed to do some interesting things. From those that I haven't visited, I would really recommend you to go to the Siwa Oasis. It's something that I really want to do, but I didn't get the time for that. And also I would visit Alexandria if I were you, because it was one of the centers of the knowledge of the ancient world, so kind of an interesting place. And you could also find there one of the wonders of the ancient world, the Pharos lighthouse. So as you can see, Egypt had two of the wonders of the ancient world. You can guess which one is the second one. One last thing, let me mention alcohol. As you can see, I have this bottle of beer here. They call it Stella. It's not the famous Stella that you can find in Europe, but well, it's kind of good, kind of drinkable. You cannot basically buy alcohol anywhere. If you are interested about alcohol in Egypt and you're watching this from the future, you will find an extra video in the upper right corner, and I will give you a guide how to get alcohol, or what the situation of alcohol is in Egypt. So if you're watching this from the future, it will be there. If you're watching this as a premiere, well, you'll have to wait one more week for this. What next? Right, one thing. Egypt is usually considered as a Muslim nation, but you need to understand that there is like 20% of people who live in Egypt who are Coptic Christian. There are a lot of churches in Egypt that actually really surprised me. As you could see in my video from Cairo, there's a lot of beautiful old churches there. So if you are interested in Christian architecture in Egypt, you can visit them. It's really beautiful. And also, the Coptic people, they don't actually speak Arabic. I mean, they probably do because it's like an official language, but the co-official language of Egypt is Coptic, and they use this like amazing, really really strange script that looks a little bit like the Greek writings, but it's a little bit different. And the Coptic language is actually like the continuation or the successor of the ancient Egyptian. So if you want to hear something that sounds like a language that was written with the hieroglyphics, well, it's the Coptic language. So go listen to it. And that was it. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it interesting. In case you have any more questions, please ask them in the comments down below. If you're interested what the situation is right now regarding COVID, please watch my video from Hurghada. I will explain there to you how you can get tested in Egypt and all the things. But it's really something that will probably only temporary, so I don't want to have it in this guide. So, but if you have any questions, ask them in the comments. I will try to get to you as quickly as possible. And well, if you like this video, please give me a like. If you didn't like it, please give me a dislike. Write me some very hateful comment, because I'm really excited to reading this. I'm never depressed to read them. And check out my other social media. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, not to miss any of the future content. And I will see you in the next video. We're going to Kyrgyzstan. I hope you'll enjoy this. Have a great day.